wind carries whispers from a time when gods still walked among mortals under endless skies. Stone temples rose on sacred hills where olive trees swayed in the gentle breath of the sea. The world listened to the songs of wisdom, woven with patience and glowing with eternal clarity. Among the gods, one stood apart, radiant not with thunder or fire, but with a voice of reason. Her name was Athena, daughter of Olympus, guardian of truth, balance, and the art of strategy. She was not feared for her power, but honored for her vision, a gift rare even among immortals. Her voice was calm, steady, and eternal, guiding both heroes and humble souls through endless trials. Each word carried the weight of ages, yet flowed with a gentleness that nurtured human hearts. She offered not conquest, but wisdom, not destruction, but the olive branch of peace and creation. This is the story of that eternal voice, a voice that never fades, a voice that still calls today. In the beginning, the world trembled with mystery, and Olympus stood as the throne of divine wonder. The sky was vast, the earth was ancient, and the sea whispered secrets older than human memory. From this timeless expanse came Athena, not born as others, but revealed in brilliance beyond measure. Legends tell she emerged radiant, a being of clarity, intellect, and luminous strength of spirit. Her presence was not thunder nor flame, but the calm light of reason breaking through eternal clouds. She was a vision of wisdom, her eyes deep with knowledge that stretched beyond mortal comprehension. Athena's birth was unlike any other, not fragile, but whole, complete, and ready to guide the world. She was not the storm, but the stillness after, when thought takes form and meaning is born. From the first moment, her destiny was clear, to shape paths not with power, but with insight. The gods watched, the mortals dreamed, and the universe itself seemed to listen to her arrival. Athena carried no weapon in that moment, only the brilliance of her mind and the calm of truth. She embodied reason, a rare flame in a cosmos often driven by chaos and restless fire. In her voice, there was balance. In her gaze, there was patience. And in her heart, resolve. She became the guardian of wisdom, the quiet architect of thought, and the muse of creation. Her birth was not only the rise of a goddess, but the dawn of clarity for all mankind. Every tale that followed bore the mark of this beginning, this light breaking through ancient shadow. The gods who ruled with force and fear could not silence the steady song of her reason. Mortals, fragile yet hopeful, turned their ears to the voice that promised guidance and understanding. Athena was more than divine strength. She was the eternal compass, pointing toward justice and truth. Her birth was the beginning of a promise that wisdom would always stand beside humankind. This moment, echoing through centuries, remains the foundation of her eternal story and timeless voice. Long ago, there was a city without a name, a place where dreams and ambitions waited for a guide. The people prayed to the gods, seeking a gift, a blessing that would shape their destiny forever. Poseidon rose first, mighty lord of the sea, and struck the earth with his trident of power. From the stone sprang a saltwater spring, roaring with strength, a symbol of force and command. The people marveled, yet the gift carried no life, no nourishment, only the promise of conquest. Then came Athena, calm and radiant, her presence steady, her purpose written in her wise heart. She planted her spear into the soil, and from it grew a tree unlike any seen before. An olive tree stood tall, its silver leaves shimmering, its fruit rich with nourishment and light. The gift was humble, yet eternal, a symbol of peace, prosperity, and strength that endured time. The people touched the olives, pressed the oil, and found food, healing and flame within its fruit. Where Poseidon offered power, Athena gave life, and her voice echoed softly. Choose wisdom, choose peace. The city listened, their hearts drawn not to force, but to the gentle promise of the tree. In that moment, the choice was made, and Athens was born, forever tied to the goddess. The olive tree became the soul of the land, its branches sheltering generations with silent grace. Athena's voice lingered in the rustle of leaves, whispering lessons of patience, endurance, and quiet power. The city grew, temples rose, and knowledge flourished under the watch of their eternal protector. The olive groves spread across hills, and each harvest was a hymn sung to the goddess. Her gift was not fleeting, but endless, a reminder that true strength lies in creation, not destruction. Athens became a beacon of thought, art, and reason, shaped by the gift of its patron. And in every olive tree that still grows, her eternal voice is heard, steady and everlasting. In the heart of Olympus, Athena's voice carried not as a command, but as a counsel of clarity. She was not the goddess who raised her hand to strike, but the one who lifted minds to think. Strategy was her gift, not reckless courage, but the wisdom to see beyond the veil of impulse. Mortals often rushed into battle, blinded by pride. Yet her whisper urged patience and foresight. She taught that strength without thought was a storm, powerful but directionless, fading into ruin. Her voice guided leaders to pause, to measure the path, and to see more than the present. She did not silence their will, but illuminated choices hidden beneath the shadows of fear. Every general who listened found victory not in blood, but in the careful weaving of plans. Her wisdom was not only for warriors, but for rulers who held nations in the weight of law. She spoke of balance, of fairness, of decisions that would echo far beyond a single day. Athena reminded them that true strategy was not the art of defeating, but of enduring. The greatest triumphs, she whispered, are not carved on shields, but in the lives spared by foresight. Even in the halls of kings, her voice was heard in counsel that steadied trembling hands. Her presence was the calm at the center of chaos, where clarity lit the path through confusion. Heroes carried her advice into battles where brute strength would have faltered and failed. With her guidance, a single clever step became mightier than 1,000 reckless strikes. She was the goddess who wove intellect into the heart of courage, making both unbreakable. And her eternal voice taught that wisdom is not the absence of bravery, but its truest form. Through her, mortals learned that victory earned with thought endures longer than one taken by force. And so her legacy as the voice of strategy lived, guiding all who dared to listen. In quiet chambers, where the sound of looms echoed, Athena's presence was felt like a guiding hand. She was the goddess of crafts, patron of weaving, where threads became stories and patterns of life. Each strand held meaning, each motion a lesson, teaching mortals patience, focus, and quiet discipline. The loom was her temple, where chaos of fibers found order beneath her careful, steady touch. She showed that beauty is born not from haste, but from the harmony of skill and time. The weavers of Greece looked to her for inspiration, hearing her voice in the rhythm of threads. Her gift was not only cloth, but the spirit of creation, the courage to make with intention. She whispered that every craft, whether humble or grand, held the dignity of divine artistry. Through her, mortals learned that to create was to honor the world and bring meaning to it. Her voice spoke in the quiet clatter of looms, in the patient shaping of stone, in painted walls. Athena's wisdom lay in teaching that skill is not given, but grown with effort and persistence. The weaver at her loom, the potter at his wheel, each felt her presence guiding their hands. She was not distant, but close, her eternal voice reminding that beauty is born from dedication. Stories tell of mortals who dared to challenge her. Yet even in rivalry, her lesson was clear. Skill without humility falters, but skill with reverence endures, weaving legacies through the ages. Her gifts shaped civilizations, where artistry stood beside philosophy as pillars of human spirit. Every tapestry, every vessel, every carving was a hymn to the goddess of wisdom and craft. Her eternal voice taught that to shape the world with care was the noblest act of all. She turned simple work into sacred ritual, each thread a bridge between divine and mortal hands. And in every creation that carries love and patience, Athena's eternal voice still softly speaks today. Athena was not only the guardian of wisdom and crafts, but also the mirror of justice among gods and men. Her presence was sought when disputes arose, for her voice was calm, measured, and steady as truth itself. Where others judged with anger or pride, she listened with patience, seeing through the fog of passion. Her wisdom was not in punishing swiftly, but in weighing each side with fairness and reason. Mortals came to her temples, offering prayers when conflicts tore families, cities, or hearts apart. They knew her voice would not favor the mighty, nor bow to the cries of the powerful. Justice, she whispered, must not bend to fear or favor, but stand upright like an unbroken pillar. In her gaze, both kings and beggars were equal, for truth wore no crown and held no coin. Athena's gift was not judgment born of wrath, but decisions carved from clarity and compassion. She reminded mortals that law was not chains, but the light that guided them through uncertain paths. Her presence in trials was felt like a calm wind, clearing smoke to reveal the fire's heart. She spoke to rulers that fairness was strength, for a kingdom divided by injustice cannot endure. Her eternal voice echoed in councils where disputes threatened to shatter the fragile thread of peace. Even in myths, she chose reason over vengeance, showing that wisdom shines brighter than blind fury. She taught that justice is not silence, but a steady hand guiding balance between mercy and truth. Athena's lessons were etched into the hearts of lawmakers, philosophers, and those who sought fairness. She was the reminder that the strongest foundation is not stone or steel, but the trust of people. Her olive branch was more than peace. It was the promise of justice growing firm like rooted trees. Generations carried her counsel, building cities where laws were shaped by her timeless principles. And still, in the voice of fairness that rises in every age, her eternal guidance is heard. Heroes of old often faced trials too vast for strength alone, and in those moments, Athena was near. She walked unseen beside Odysseus, guiding his mind with cunning when storms and monsters closed in. It was not the sword that saved him, but the cleverness whispered by the goddess of wisdom. Her voice reminded him to look twice, to see paths where others saw only walls of despair. When Perseus sought to face the Gorgon, her counsel gave him tools sharper than any blade. She placed in his hand a shield polished like a mirror, a weapon of reflection, not of force. Through her wisdom, he conquered fear, learning that the truest battle is often within the mind. Athena never fought for glory, but for guidance, showing heroes that thought is greater than fury. Every legend speaks not of her hand striking, but her voice shaping choices that saved countless lives. She was the compass in darkness, the lantern in the labyrinth, the whisper against reckless pride. The greatest heroes did not walk alone. They carried her wisdom like armor upon their hearts. In moments of doubt, they heard her voice, steady and calm, stronger than any thunder or roar. Her lessons were not for heroes alone, but for every soul who faced fear and uncertainty. She taught that courage without wisdom falters, but courage with guidance can move even the mountains. Her gift was never to command, but to awaken the light already hidden within mortal hearts. She showed that victory is not in the fall of an enemy, but in the rise of the spirit. Athena's voice remains eternal in every tale of clever triumph and every act of quiet bravery. The heroes who listened to her whispers left behind more than victories. They left legacies of wisdom. And so, her eternal guidance became the thread woven through myths, binding courage to thoughtful resolve. Even today, her voice lingers in every story where mind and heart stand stronger than brute force. In the quiet glow of dawn, when students gathered with scrolls, Athena's voice echoed in the halls of learning. She was not seen, but felt in every thought that dared to stretch beyond the limits of the known. Her gift was knowledge, not handed as treasure, but sparked like a flame in the curious heart. Philosophers in marble courtyards felt her whisper as they questioned the stars and the order of life. Her presence was in the steady hand that wrote words, shaping ideas that would outlast empires. Every library, filled with fragile scrolls, was a temple of her wisdom, guarded by silence and care. Athena's voice taught that truth was not owned by one, but shared among those who sought it humbly. She reminded mortals that learning was not pride, but service, a way to lift the whole of mankind. Her guidance urged thinkers to ask not only how, but why, and to listen to the answers within. Even the smallest pupil reciting letters by oil lamp carried her eternal flame in their growing mind. She stood beside teachers, unseen, guiding their words with patience, so wisdom flowed from one soul to another. Her eternal voice spoke in every lecture, every question, every pause filled with wonder and discovery. The pursuit of knowledge was, to her, the noblest journey, one that required courage of the spirit. For ignorance was a shadow, and she taught that even the smallest light could pierce its vastness. Her voice turned schools into sanctuaries, where young and old could grow under the shelter of wisdom. She planted seeds in the minds of mortals, and those seeds grew into philosophies, sciences, and arts. Her influence shaped great thinkers whose names still echo, carried by her unseen hand across centuries. Athena never claimed the glory, for her gift was not ownership, but the joy of awakening thought. And so, wherever a question is asked, wherever knowledge is sought, her eternal presence still lingers. For in every book opened, every lesson shared, the eternal teacher whispers, and Athena's voice is heard. Athena's voice was not bound to temples or scrolls, for she walked among cities where life was woven daily. She spoke in the rhythm of markets, where merchants weighed fairness against greed under her unseen gaze. Every coin exchanged, every promise spoken, carried her reminder that justice was the pillar of community. She guided leaders in the still hours of night, urging them to think of people before power and pride. Her voice lingered in council halls, where decisions shaped the destiny of thousands who trusted their rulers. Athena taught that true strength of a city lay not in walls or weapons, but in wisdom and fairness. She whispered to lawmakers that laws without compassion become chains, but with justice, they become protection. Her unseen hand steadied judges, reminding them to listen not only to words, but to the heart of truth. Athena's voice was the quiet balance that kept power from tilting into tyranny or chaos unchecked. Even the humblest citizen, standing in a crowd, felt her presence when fairness won over corruption. Her lessons turned cities into living testaments of justice, where harmony flowed like water through the streets. She did not demand temples of gold, for her shrine was built in every fair act and choice. Athena's gift was the vision to see beyond the moment, to understand how choices echo for generations. She urged mortals to weigh actions as carefully as builders weighed stone, for every choice shapes the future. Her eternal voice reminded all that leadership is service, and power is a burden carried with humility. She was present not in the loud boast of rulers, but in the quiet wisdom of just decisions. Athena's spirit thrived when cities sought peace, when dialogue triumphed over conflict and reason over wrath. Her wisdom shaped not only governments, but also the daily lives of farmers, artisans, and wanderers alike. For justice was not distant law, but a living thread binding people together in trust and respect. And so, in every city where fairness lights the way, Athena's eternal voice still whispers in the streets. In the hush of night, when dreams stirred softly, Athena's voice reached the hearts of artists and makers. She spoke in the rhythm of chisel against marble, as sculptors shaped visions hidden in silent stone. Her spirit lingered in the stroke of a brush, guiding painters to capture truth beyond mere likeness. Athena's voice was not thunder, but inspiration, a spark that set creativity alive in mortal souls. She whispered to poets as they bent over parchment, weaving words that carried the weight of eternity. Her influence was in the delicate hands of weavers, spinning threads into patterns of harmony and meaning. The loom was as sacred as the temple, for in both she revealed beauty shaped through patience and care. Athena taught that art was not vanity, but a reflection of the divine order within mortal reach. Every melody, every carved line, every woven thread bore traces of her eternal guidance in creation. She reminded mortals that to create is to honor life, to mirror the balance that holds the cosmos. Her eternal voice urged them to craft not for glory, but to awaken wonder in those who beheld. She gave courage to artists whose visions were doubted, reminding them that truth often begins in silence. Athena's voice became the muse that traveled unseen, moving from hand to hand, mind to mind, age to age. She was the unseen partner of architects, raising temples that touched the sky with grace and reason. Her gift was not only beauty, but purpose, for she taught that every creation must serve the greater good. Through her, art became more than ornament. It became wisdom made visible, harmony made tangible. She showed mortals that every craft, whether humble or grand, carried the breath of the eternal. In the glow of the forge, in the quiet of the studio, in the hush of the loom, she remained. Her voice was present in every sigh of inspiration, every spark of invention, every bold stroke of creation. And so, through art and craft, Athena's eternal voice still speaks, reminding the world of beauty's true power. When storms of doubt rose, Athena's voice was the calm that steadied the trembling hearts of mortals. She did not shout commands, but whispered courage, reminding them that fear is a shadow, not the truth. Her eternal voice taught that strength lies not only in victory, but in the resolve to rise again. In moments of despair, she reminded mortals that within silence, answers often bloom like hidden flowers. Athena's guidance was not bound to the grand or heroic, but found in daily trials of simple lives. She spoke to farmers tending fields, urging patience when rains delayed, and hope when harvest seemed lost. Her voice touched sailors on restless seas, teaching them to trust the stars and their own steady hands. Even children at play felt her presence, learning fairness and kindness through her unseen gentle guidance. Athena's gift was not the removal of struggle, but the wisdom to endure and grow through hardship. She showed that every trial carries a lesson, and every ending holds the seed of a new path. Her eternal voice reminded all that destiny is not carved in stone, but shaped by choices of the heart. Through her whispers, mortals learned to see setbacks not as curses, but as steps toward hidden strength. Athena was the light that did not blind, but revealed, showing mortals the truth already within them. Her wisdom taught that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to walk despite it. She urged patience in waiting, clarity in thinking, and balance in acting when life weighed heavy with doubt. Even in solitude, mortals were never alone, for her eternal voice lingered in the quiet of thought. Athena's presence was not a promise of ease, but of guidance, steady as a compass in darkness. She taught that greatness is not in crowns or conquests, but in living with wisdom and compassion. Through ages, her voice remained the quiet thread weaving resilience into the fabric of human stories. And so, as long as mortals listen to the whisper of wisdom, Athena's eternal voice shall never fade. As the story draws to its quiet end, Athena's eternal presence lingers like a steady flame in the dark. She has walked beside mortals, not with thunder or fire, but with whispers of clarity, balance, and resolve. Her voice was never about command, but about awakening the wisdom already hidden deep within the soul. Through battles, through learning, through art, through justice, she was the unseen hand guiding hearts and minds. Athena showed that greatness does not rest in force, but in the harmony of thought and compassionate action. Her gift was not the fleeting blaze of glory, but the enduring light of knowledge that outlasts empires. Every lesson she gave was a seed, planted in stories, carried through time by poets and storytellers. She reminded mortals that wisdom is not distant or unreachable, but woven into the choices of each day. Athena's voice remains in the quiet pause before decisions, urging patience, urging courage, urging thoughtful resolve. She is in the calm of a scholar's study, the silence before a craftsman's work, the fairness in a judge's word. Her legacy is not carved in stone alone, but written in the living acts of kindness and wisdom. The goddess of wisdom lives wherever justice is honored, wherever creativity blossoms, wherever knowledge is cherished. Her eternal voice does not fade with time, for it is carried in the breath of each new generation. She whispers to those who doubt themselves, reminding them that even the smallest light can guide the way. In every era, her presence returns, not as myth alone, but as the wisdom guiding human progress. For Athena's story is not a tale of the past, but a voice that echoes into every tomorrow. She teaches that strength without wisdom falters, but wisdom with courage shapes a future that endures. Her eternal voice is the gentle thread that binds courage, knowledge, and compassion into the human spirit. And so, as we close this tale, we do not bid farewell, for Athena's voice cannot be silenced. It remains eternal, guiding every heart that dares to listen, whispering still, seek wisdom, and walk with light.